Due to the fact that we were testing new equipment on our orbiting space station for this episode, there's a bit of static on our vocal track. We apologize in advance and hope you can still enjoy the episode.
I know you feel this.
From far and wide and lands of promise, Grizzled Veterans has returned to the fold and give you Summertime Blues.
Absolutely.
We came back, we were going to cancel the show and pack it all in.
But we had so much
Love
feedback
and dedication.
and love from all of you.
No, to be honest. Anyway, the Grizzled Veterans are back. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Rose.
I'm the co-host, as always, Donovan Darko Oziak.
Grizzled Veterans, once again. Summertime
Episode
has...
19.
Wow, we're 19. It seems like we've been doing it for so much longer.
We're old
than that,
enough to drink now, man.
Yeah, really. No, but doesn't it seem like we've got the two other special episodes we've done, 21.
Yeah.
But it seems like we've been doing this longer than that.
Well, it's been about a year and a half.
I guess.
So, yeah.
I guess. But yeah, the Grizzled Veterans kind of fallen victim to the Summertime Blues.
It's all good. We went on vacation. I went on vacation.
Yeah, had to take a vacation from the big business of podcast making, and I went to the cottage for a week, lounged, champagne and campaigned.
Nice.
Me and Raquel went. That was an awesome time. Right on the beach bum. Learned how to surf.
Oh, nice.
I'm lying. I didn't learn how to surf at all.
Because you didn't tell me that, so I was like hiding shit from me.
Where did you go? You went on a road trip?
I went on a road trip, man. 2,100K in 4 days. I drove all the way from Guelph, Ontario to Quebec City.
None of these people know where that is, I bet.
Well, that's why I'm
saying. Well, our local listeners.
That's why I'm saying, if you want to look it up. Yeah, all the way from Guelph up to Bancroft, over to Ottawa.
Over to Bangkok! See some lady boy?
One night in Bangkok. There's a flashback for you. Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? You went to Montreal?
Stopped in Montreal for
Did you go
night.
to Super Sex?
I did not. Because
you missed out.
It's funny because...
No, I hate strip clubs, man.
I wanted to go to one just because to see what the fuss was about.
Be that solo creeper and pervert.
Well, I didn't want to go by myself, but yeah, I mean... but
don't get me wrong, I don't want people to think... I love the ladies, but I'm just too old to go. I find I'm in sales. I know business. Strip clubs are just a hustle.
Yeah.
And now that I know they're trying to sell me something, I just want to watch sports when I go there.
You gotta pay the bouncer to get into these places.
Yeah, that's a joke. I'll go somewhere else.
So, anyway. And I mean, they're just pocketing it anyway.
Super Sex.
So yeah, no, I didn't end up going to a strip club while I was in Montreal, but I did have poutine, so that was good.
This is good.
Pulled pork poutine.
It's great stuff. All you Americans out there, you gotta get on the poutine train.
Yeah.
Gotta get on it.
It's awesome. Anyway.
Cheese curds, gravy, and whatever the hell else.
It's not gravy. It's actually a poutine sauce. It's actually, it's like a gravy, obviously, but don't tell that to the Quebecois.
Whatever.
Anyway.
When are they severing from Canada anyway?
I'm not going to touch that.
They're only imports poutine anyway.
Oh boy, oh boy.
And we stole the Montreal smoked meat.
Hey.
We made it our own.
I'll say this much. Downtown Montreal had an arcade and Toronto doesn't.
Yeah, so, Toronto did get rid of theirs. Yeah.
Toronto, you got to get on that. If Montreal's got a real-to-life arcade, man.
You know what? I remember going to Montreal and I want, French onion soup. Obviously, they don't call it French onion soup there. They call it onion soup.
Right.
It feels so weird to say. I was so hungover that day. I'm like, yeah, I want a French onion soup. Yeah, so an onion soup? I'm like, it clicked in for a minute. Yes. Just like head of shame.
Yeah. But, it's no lie. There's a level of beauty to the city and the area that's...
Well, Quebec as a province has a lot of the old country of Europe.
Well, it's got that European flavor, right? And so when I was driving through it and walking through it, I did get a very European vibe, like from when I went to London back in 2001. So I was definitely conjuring up some of those same types of...
Well, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I think it's enough culture for one episode. Let's get to things that actually really matter in terms of video games and media.
Oh, you can!
You didn't see Pacific Rim, did you?
I did not go to see Pacific Rim yet, although I did want to. So disappointment abounds on your part.
Yeah, I didn't like it very much. But again, I just think I'm too old for it. I can't shut my brain anymore.
Yeah.
I can't shut it off. Even though it seems like when I talk on this microphone, my brain's off.
You're too much of a critic.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm just too old.
Well, again, I think what we talked about it is that it's not heavy on story. It's...
The thing is, it tries to just ham fist that shit right in your face. Like, it tries to feed you all this stuff and this character, but the characters are bad.
Yeah, I've heard
the stories are terrible.
Like one character
the
in the movie
acting is really bad.
Yeah.
I like the black guy that's in it,
that's
though.
basically, they've said this.
He's good. He's good, but he's good in almost everything. Yeah. From Prometheus and I can't think of his name. He's an Aussie.
He was the captain
or New Zealand
in Prometheus, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Aussies hate being called Kiwis, New Zealand, and Kiwis hate being called Aussies. So if I got that wrong, he'd probably hate me.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure he's not listening anyway.
Boot to the head.
Boot to the head. Anyway, we're gonna Grizzled Ventures. Since we've been out of the loop for such a while here, it's been over.
It's been almost 2 months since we've done an episode.
We've missed a shit ton of stuff. And rather than try to cover this stuff in depth and make a 2-hour podcast that you're just going to tune out in an hour or flip through, we're going to start Grizzled Veterans vaunted quick fire topics.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them, so we're just going to try and fire through them as fast as we can. We may miss some things. We may not cover some of these topics as much as we'd like. But you know what?
It's our show.
It's our show. We can do whatever the hell we want.
That's right.
So
I guess we just lost half our listeners.
Quick fire, like shotgun. Xbox recantations.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to put the sound effects in.
Oh yes, you are. You got to add that stuff. Just boom.
Yeah.
Number 1, Xbox recantations.
Okay. So anyway, what's up with Microsoft changing everything about?
I don't know, Donovan. What's up with them?
I'll say this much about it. I feel like they're pandering too much to the internet at this point, and that they should stick closer to their original plan. I don't think that this system should be sold without Kinect, because I think it's an integral part of what makes it separate.
But to be fair, they haven't said they're going to sell it without Kinect.
No, they haven't
yet. It's just not mandatory to have it on them.
Exactly. Now, but every time they add more of this stuff, it just makes me question more and more, like, the integrity of...
advocate here is... The original design was universally almost not accepted. So they've made a business decision here. That's purely what it is.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say. You can keep going. I mean, I have other things to say on this.
Sure.
I want you to take the ball.
My point is basically, like, they had a plan for this box, and they're basically, like, allowing the general public to destroy that plan based on what they think the box should be able to do. And I hope that they don't do a Kinect-less box, even though I'm not really into it myself. It's what sets the system apart from its competitors, and if it's not included and they eventually do a Kinect-less Xbox One, that's only going to diminish developers from utilizing that technology and creating unique experiences.
Well, that's a fair point, because one of my major qualms with what the PS4 did to get their price $100 less
was
cut the PSI, but by default, you're making it, you don't touch my coffee, I will bite your hand off, boy. You get your own. Anyway, was by eliminating the PSI from that box, even though they're probably going to have bundles with it, it's not going to be supported.
Right.
So even if, to me, cheaper is cheaper. $50 cheaper is almost just as good as getting $100 cheaper. To me, I don't know if the rest of the consumers agree, but I'd rather have an integral aspect that's going to be used and still be a little bit cheaper, as opposed to being a lot cheaper and not having it, and you know it's going to be useless anyway. But anyway, let's stay on the Xbox thing. So there's a couple different ways to look at it. Like, their original plan was not accepted. I didn't like a lot of the stuff that they were doing.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff, I wanted to see where it went.
Right.
If that makes, like, I admired their attempt to do it, even if I didn't like it. But I don't think the Kinect is the one defining aspect. I mean, from a visual or a physical aspect, yes. But I think great games and features are enough.
Well, obviously.
But I mean, a peripheral that's there and that they've kept in mind to be included can't hurt either.
No. And it is a unique peripheral in the sense that
if the technology, if they can, what they promise, if they can make it happen, yes. I will never use it for gaming. I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm not, it's not aimed towards me. So whatever.
Well, that would still, you don't know that. You say right now you wouldn't use it for gaming, but what if a game came out that implemented it in a way that you didn't mind using?
And okay, I'm not saying it's not beyond the realm of reason. Okay.
Right, and I'm just saying that could be as simple as voice.
But they made some good choices.
Yeah.
A headset. I mean, they've backtracked on that. They weren't going to include a headset. Now they are again.
Okay.
And that was what that's what made Xbox Live. You know, out of the box, you can go online.
Absolutely.
Here's your headset. You know, everyone's going to be on. And PS, that's what leapfrogged their service ahead.
Yeah.
And also their infrastructure was leaps and bounds better as well. But there's that. There's, you know, obviously the DRM, which we covered last time. That's old news. But the recent thing was Kinect doesn't have to be on, which is great. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they're including Kinect, and now they stuck to the rhetoric that Kinect is going to be included in every box, that they have no plans to have a bundle.
And I think that's
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now they're bordering on the point that the system's going to be basically $100 more expensive PS4. So I mean, that's where you're getting it doesn't really have any differentiation.
Well, they don't have anything to sell the Kinect with yet. You know, to make it say, okay.
Well, that'll come, but by taking out they're not talking about their media stuff anymore. Kinect's not a mandatory thing. All this online check. They're trying to bring the family sharing thing back, which was never as good as what they promised it was going to be anyway when they canceled it. But now they're bringing it back, and it's sort of a gray area. Now what's next? Like, to me, right now, I'm just at a state of confusion because this is just words. For the average consumer, who doesn't follow the news, like most people do, their mind's already made up. All this backtrack is not going to matter.
No,
until the next show and the next major press, and then you have release. Gamescom and TGS are going to be very important for both these guys, though.
Well, Microsoft's not going to be at TGS, are they?
I don't know, but they are. Last year they weren't at Gamescom, and they're going this year.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer has the keynote there. He's going to be the first talker. I don't know. It's a big show. Sony's already made it abundantly clear that TGS is extremely important this year, so lots of way to go.
I'm excited for TGS, and I've said that before, and it hasn't been quite as good as I had wanted it to be, but
I'm hoping that that's where they bring out, the Japanese games. Yes, and I don't even want to say it, but the Last Guardian. And finally bring it out and show 7 years of development, but whatever, that gets besides the point. Let's move on to our next topic. That's the Wii U global sales.
Okay, Nintendo. Oh boy.
Crisis in Nintendo Land. So 160,000 in 3 months. The Vita's over, and that's globally.
Yeah.
That's abysmal. That is record-breaking bad.
Yeah. That's
like 3DO bad.
I don't know what to say, man, because we've already covered this topic a lot.
Yes, we have. But these are shocking numbers.
They are, and honestly, I've said this kind of similarly before. It's not that we don't like Nintendo. We kind of want Nintendo to do better. But man, Mr. Iwata, I think, needs to step down.
A lot of people think, he doesn't have, they like his personality, sometimes his business sense, whatever, or he keeps their uniqueness of Nintendo. I'm sorry, but they need more uniqueness at this point.
They do.
He still doesn't think that the Wii U needs a price drop. And they're like, oh, the games are coming. Excuse me, and that'll take care of itself. 2013 doesn't have a lot of games coming out.
No.
They're promising some of the stuff into 2014, but it's not going to matter that much. A lot of Nintendo fans think that, the games will come and the Wii didn't take off and the 3DS didn't take off until the software came. Completely different scenarios, which we covered in length prior. And it just shows nothing is picked up. Pikmin 3 just came out. It's getting reviewed well, but that's not a system seller. No one's buying a Wii U for Pikmin 3.
No. And we've got the Wonderful 101 coming soon.
But again, that's not. I think that game looks really, really cool. And I'd like to play it, but I'm not going to buy a Wii U for the Wonderful 101. And quite honestly, at this point, any third-party publisher that had a game that they planned to put on the Wii U that hadn't been, even if they were in initial development, they've changed them all to be multi-platform.
Well, I mean, it's not getting Battlefield, it's not getting FIFA. There was one other major one.
Bethesda's not going to make any games for them.
Yeah.
And there's others too. Ubisoft's going to support them, and that's one of the only major third-party publishers that I know are really pushing the Wii U. But it's dire. Software's not going to save them this time. They need to restructure the entire thing, because when the true next gen systems comes out, and I'm sorry, like, time does not dictate next generation to me. It's about a leap in power.
I have to argue that.
See, I don't, and I've almost universally, analysts, developers, they don't consider the Wii U next generation system.
Because of looking at it from a spec perspective, and I think generations are defined by what's out at the time.
Yes, but we've never had this before. We've never had a console
But this is Nintendo's system for this generation. That's what I'm saying. It's not last generation. The Wii was last generation.
Yeah, but it's not a next generation platform to me at all.
Tech-wise, yes, I agree with you completely. But because it's out now, and it's coming out in the generation that these other boxes are coming out, it's part of this generation.
I disagree. I just think we've always broken it down time-wise because we've never seen this sort of entry of a new console.
Then you have to put it in its own category.
And that's fine. It is. It's 7-year-old tech.
Yeah.
That's not next generation. I mean, next generation can't just mean time. But anyway, we're arguing semantics.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, there's people on both sides of the coin, but
Kyle Bossman is on my side, and that's all that matters.
I don't know. There's some major publishers out there that seriously don't consider the Wii U a next generation console.
Yeah.
But
It's all...
who knows?
It's apples and oranges, really.
Question number 3. We're going to go on our Evo recap because we love our fighting games.
We do.
And we didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Yeah.
Which sucks. I was on vacation when it happened, so I caught it all recap. But some really exciting stuff.
A lot of surprises. A bunch of brand new winners, basically. I mean, we saw a lot of the big Asian fighters were dominating as usual, but PR Balrog did very well.
Oh, he's just a great all-around player. I mean, I think him and Chris Chi are the best all-around American gamers now. I mean, Justin Wong is too, but
I would say the 3 of those guys.
yeah, the 3 of those. But I think Justin Wong's gave up certain games because he used to be really good at Mortal Kombat too. Just doesn't play it.
Right.
He started off playing Injustice, didn't really play it. But PR Balrog plays Injustice. He plays Street Fighter. Plays Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He plays all these games. He's really good at them.
Yeah.
I think he plays Street Fighter Cross Tekken too.
Oh,
so
right.
I mean, but anyway, a lot of upsets. First year for Injustice there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of lackluster.
It'll do better next year.
It will.
I mean, it's going to get balance changes and stuff like that, and those hadn't been implemented yet, so...
The one thing with fighting games is that they need a long life to find their thing. Like Street Fighter, the vanilla Street Fighter 4 was so unbalanced. Like, if you go back and watch how these got the game played and how broken it was, like with some of the mechanics, it was really bad on the professional level. So it took almost 3 or 4 years to really get the game going. And it's got to this point. Yeah, like, fighting games need room to breathe. They really do.
Well, Daigo, he was still in top 8.
Yep.
But the great thing about Daigo, and I love his philosophy, I love that he's now sort of the godfather.
He's come like the Zen. He's like the Zen master of Street
And so his whole philosophy is like, I'm going to play as Ryu, and if I lose...
He goes, yeah.
Whatever.
But that's not true, because last year he took up Yun, and Yun was the most overpowered character in the game. Pretty much, other than Akuma.
Well.
And even Seth, at that time, was really powerful.
Yeah.
2 years ago. But ever since Yun got nerfed, he's picked back up right. But it doesn't matter. He plays the game.
Character, right?
He's an awesome guy. It's pretty impressive to make top 8.
Yeah.
And then you're just making top 8 out of all those people, professional gamers.
There's like 1,600 in Street Fighter, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe more. I don't know. And then there was the Justin Wong comebacks in
that was
Marvel vs.
I mean,
Capcom 3.
I was on the edge of my seat during the Justin's Marvel vs. Capcom fights. He was just playing so good with his team that he had stuck with. And this is some of the comments that were being made. It was like, well, he could pick other characters and maybe do a little better, but he likes his team and it works good for him. So he didn't end up winning.
Came close. He had it though. He was so close. He honestly choked that final game up. But I mean, you get to the point where your luck kind of runs out.
Yeah.
And it was a toss-up. See, I don't think Zero's kind of overpowered in that game.
I've noticed a lot of zeros this year.
He has like the one touch of death type attacks. Now he needs assists to really insulate his game, but he's such an overpowered character in many ways. Like his mobility, his zoning, but whatever.
I just feel like I saw a lot of Zero this year. Maybe he was there last year, but this year it felt like he was very...
So Flocker won UMBC 3 with his Dante, Virgil, Zero team, is it?
I think, yes.
Is it Dante?
No. Virgil, Zero, and... Oh shit, I can't remember the third one. But Justin plays his Wolverine.
But he's bounced around a bit because he's got a Frank West team too.
Right. I've seen that too.
Admittedly, he does think his team's very good. Because they have really good synergy, like between the supers and stuff. But and then anything you want to talk about?
Well, then Shen.
No, I was going to talk about move on to Street Fighter.
Okay.
Yeah, like top 8. Infiltration was upset.
I was so happy to see him lose.
Me too. With honestly, again,
he's a great player.
It's great,
but his personality makes him the bad guy.
Kinda, but anyone that wins a lot is ultimately going to be the bad guy.
It's not that he wins a lot. It's how his reactions to his wins because he's so cocky.
Yeah, but he isn't though.
Maybe he earned it. Maybe he earned it, but I know I get this vibe off him where I don't know. He doesn't come across as maybe he's just too serious.
He is very serious. He doesn't have any personality.
Yeah,
but whatever. It was nice to see. Like Gen is a highly technical character and it takes so much skill to learn. He's definitely not a top tier character. Although when you learn him at that level, he can be because his footsies are really good.
That got shown.
His links, his comeback potential with the super into the ultra is really good.
Yeah.
You can combo into those really well, but it's like watching a master play. Here's the thing, I wanted to use this because over the weekend I was watching the Dota International. It's the biggest Dota 2 championship. And they had like 450,000 people at one time watching it.
Oh wow.
Which is huge, but EVO had their highest viewership ever. They broke 120,000 for UMBC 3. Super Smash Brothers was 100.
I didn't tune in for that.
I could care less about it, but I respect the game though. Those people raised a lot of money, and the fans really wanted their game in, and it got it because they pushed, and that's what it takes.
Well, and they got Nintendo to turn around their stupid decision.
Yeah, but just comparing games. I try to watch that Dota 2. Now I know MOBAs very little, but you don't need to know Street Fighter to tune in and enjoy it and understand it. You can recognize the skill, and you know who's winning and who's losing. And Marvel vs. Capcom 3, you could be like, wow, that's an awesome combo. I know that's killing that guy.
Right.
It's very, very difficult to understand the jargon and everything that comes with Dota or League of Legends.
So how does 450,000 people...
They're just super into it, but to break that into a wider audience... It's like, you can't understand it. The barrier to entry is so high, and the game is so slow. Like, it takes 10 minutes. These guys sit there and pick their characters. Like, and they cancel it. Now, there's a strategy about building your team and things like that. But I honestly, like, if you want to tune in and watch games, and that's the future that they're pushing for, EVO is a much easier entry level than your MOBAs like League or Dota.
Pretty fast
and
paced.
even RTS is like StarCraft 2. You can understand StarCraft 2 even more than say Dota. Your MOBAs and stuff like that. But I don't get it. It's nice when I hear people tuned into EVO for the first time and they loved it. They can recognize the skill on display. And the crowd tells them when something's really hype. And
oh man, the crowd reactions at EVO are incredible.
Yeah.
Like when was it Infiltration?
Pixar Con?
Well, that too, but there was an Akuma match. Which one was that? Where every time he was throwing, the crowd was like, whoa, whoa.
Oh, the boo for the air fireball? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was him and Tokido.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's who we beat, because Tokido beat Infiltration, which is huge, because Tokido was the Infiltration was the defending champion.
Right.
Tokido beat him. But anyway, we just love our EVO, and it's awesome to see it grow. It's duplicated. I think it doubled their viewership and attendance from last year.
Oh, wow.
And hopefully they can do that and maybe even bigger next year.
It's gotten bigger and bigger every year that I've watched it. And I've only been watching it live for the past 3 years.
Okay.
But man, has it exploded in those last 3 years. It's awesome. I love it.
And with that was Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Announced with 5 new characters, 4 new stages. 6 new stages, which is great.
But they're importing them in from Tekken.
All of them?
I think so. Now, I hope that it's not just a simple matter of taking the assets and putting them over. I hope they actually tweak the levels a bit to make them unique for Street Fighter.
And with that'll come the balance change, much needed in certain aspects to take out the unblockables,
right,
setups, and some tweaks to characters.
But I do like the fact that instead of just doing a patch balance, that they've gone this far with it.
Well, the game's it's not gonna be that expensive. It's gonna be like $34 or $29, and like the last AE was last year.
Yeah, well,
so 2 years in between iterations.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Well, and it says something too. I mean, you can look at it from both sides, but the fact that they can make this many versions of Street Fighter and it's still
a testament to the game.
Yeah. So,
and it is the premier pure fighting game on the market. It really is.
Well, it's the king of the castle. You know.
Well, I mean, I do think the most popular fighting game on a competitive level is Marvel.
Right.
But with the lack of willingness for Capcom to support the game, and it's just it's a different animal altogether than Street Fighter 4.
Right.
A completely different animal.
Absolutely.
Like you have the technical and setup and nuances where Marvel's very like it's combo heavy and setup heavy. And
I tried to trade in my vanilla MVC, they wouldn't even take it.
Oh really?
The steelbook and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Oh well. But yeah, Ultra Street Fighter 4, they announced 4 new characters: Hugo, Poison, Rolento, and Elena.
Right.
From Street Fighter 3. None of them which... Rolento's kind of cool, but I was hoping they would bring it. I really want Yurin from Street Fighter 3. I love his Aegis Reflector. I think it would just work so well.
Yeah.
And they could build a...
Well, we know that's not going to be the last character, because they're saying the last character is someone who's never been in a Street Fighter game before.
Well, okay, that's cool, but I mean, I didn't really like any of the additions of the new characters. Other than...
They didn't jump out. I'm not going to be a Hugo player.
Like Rufus... No, but even when they announced Street Fighter 4, all those new characters, El Fuerte, don't like. Viper probably shouldn't be in the game. She's going to be hit hard with the nerf.
Oh yeah.
I've heard a lot of pro players don't think C Viper belongs in Street Fighter. A lot of different ways. Yeah, you got to hear them talk, because some of her setups are wonky, and it just sort of breaks some of the mechanics of the way the game works.
Oh.
Yeah, I used to hear that all the time.
Weird.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. We're digressing.
Yes. Evo. Watch it. Tune in. Support your fighting games. I guess piggybacking off that was Injustice editions.
Yeah.
At Evo, they announced Martian Manhunter, the 5th downloadable character.
Right.
And he's since been released. He's a very prominent member of the Justice League, and people wanted him.
Yep.
He's really cool.
Big fan favorite. Yeah.
He's very... his learning curve barrier to entry is high. He's difficult to use, but I think once you start using him and you learn his spacing and the directional inputs and setups, he's going to be one of the best characters in the game.
Probably, yeah. Like the pro guys will pick him up.
Yeah, like he's got, without getting the nuances, whatever. And just a further note, I know I talked before, Injustice is a really, really cool game.
I've been enjoying it.
And it's easier to learn than a lot of the fighting games out there.
Well, I'll say that. I'll agree with you there, because a lot of the characters, while their moves are very different, have similar button inputs.
The strings.
Yeah.
And it's just the way you can input moves prior to them coming out.
Yeah.
Whereas Street Fighter, it's all timing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. Marvel either. And the inputs are a little bit looser in Marvel, but whatever. Anyway, and now the 6th DLC released today was Zatanna, which I'm not, but I think you'll really like playing her.
Well, we'll see.
Well, you like girl characters.
I do, but...
And she looks, I don't know, she's a magician.
Yeah.
She won the fan poll.
Oh, okay.
People love her. It was her in the Red Hood.
Oh, alright.
But Red Hood's not in yet.
Red Hood, why are they putting him in there?
Well, they haven't yet. No one knows if they are. He just won.
But he's a alternate costume for the Joker.
Well, yeah, but there's an official Red Hood too, which was one of the ex-Robins.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I don't think he'd be a good fit though, because he's another sword and gun guy. Yes, he'd have his own style, but that's like Deathstroke.
Yeah,
it's redundant to me. So I'm hoping they go. I want like Brainiac,
Atrocitus
for the Red Lantern.
Oh, okay.
Or Darkseid, but I don't think Darkseid's going to be in. It's Darkseid, right?
Yeah,
I always say Seed because it's S-E-I-D.
It's Side.
Yeah. But he was in the stage. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think he would be good. I'd like to see Supergirl or Power Girl.
I don't know. They've already got...
Or would they be too similar to Superman?
Yeah, but they have Zod, who's another Kryptonian. You know, like, it's kind of...
Yeah.
It's...
That's just a fantasy.
Yeah, like, yeah, whatever. Who knows? What we say doesn't matter,
Yeah.
so...
I want to see Spider-Man in there.
Anyway, lock and load. On to the next. We're on to the Strider remake. Real quick.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
About time. I've been wanting an HD Strider game for, like, ever since they did Bionic Commando Remastered.
I have to say to our younger listeners or some who maybe not been around for the Genesis, it didn't even debut.
I played Strider in the arcade. And
yes,
it was
in the arcade.
It was one of my favorite games of all. It still is one of my favorite games of all time.
Me too. The coolness of the character, the intro, the music, the super high action, everything he did was cool.
Yeah.
From the scarf to the laser sword to the triangle jumps. To his little. He's a futuristic ninja.
He's a cyber ninja. With a laser sword.
Like how cool is that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to draw Strider.
Same.
So I mean, like, I'm very excited about this, and it looks like they're going in a Shadow Complex direction,
which is fine.
The Metroidvania style.
That's perfectly fine.
That is totally cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the NES version of Strider kind of had that thing going for it a little bit, with levels that you had to go back to and things like that. But that game isn't very well received.
No, I didn't.
I had it, and I liked it, but I think I only liked it because it was Strider.
But the Strider I played for the Genesis changed my entire perspective of what a video game
and that was like an almost perfect arcade port at the time.
It was the first 8 megabyte cartridge.
Yeah.
It prominently displayed.
Yep.
It was heavier.
Yep.
And shit. And I used to just... I remember it wasn't a long game, but everything that was in there was so well done. Other than Mecha Gorilla, but whatever. I hopefully they have like an homage into that.
I bet you they're going to be...
Have a dismembered one in the background or something like that.
They'll probably have stuff.
But anyway,
like
I'm so looking forward to it.
I do hope that, because it's the same guys that are doing Killer Instinct.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, they sort of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
I think a couple people are wary, but there are some original people that are involved.
Exactly. I've heard that some of the original people that worked on the original Strider are overseeing it. And
I love it, and it looks really high paced.
Yep.
We kind of had the pseudo sequel in Moondiver a couple years ago, which was a lot of fun.
And there was the PlayStation PlayStation 1 Strider sequel. Actually, I haven't
played that.
Yeah, and it's quasi 2D.
He deserves to be more popular. He's a very, very cool character.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised he's not more popular than he was, but he disappeared for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, he barely made it into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Well, that was fan.
It had licensing rights.
Well, which is weird now that they're able to do a full-on Strider game.
Yeah.
But they must have sorted that shit out.
Yeah, they saw the feedback, and now they're working. I just can't wait. I think the game looks great.
Oh,
if you haven't, check out that 14-minute gameplay trailer on YouTube.
Is it 14?
14 or 12?
I saw 7 or 10 minutes.
No, it was over 10. It was one of those.
Cool.
Yeah, so lock and load. On to the next one. I like this thing. We should do this more.
Yeah, we should.
The quick fire.
It's a new feature.
Diablo 3 console footage.
Okay, now this is going to be your...
Oh yeah, you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I'll just talk about it real quick. It's a little disappointing. I think that's the consensus that I've been hearing, and I have to agree. It doesn't look as pretty. Obviously.
I don't understand why it wouldn't look as good.
Yeah, this was the PS3 version because the PS4 isn't coming out till next year.
Oh wow!
So they're only showing the PS3 version.
Oh yeah, but even still, like
I mean the PC's so much. Obviously, it's gonna look better on PC.
Was it a graphically pushing PC game?
Not necessarily, but it's still PC. I mean, even if you're dealing with the resolution alone, it improves. But it does look better.
Fair enough.
They've had to make some sacrifices, but the reason also visually the UI takes away. It's very cluttered in the console versions to make the sacrifices with the PC, the transformation. I don't know. I'm screwing up my language here.
Yeah, I know.
I think everybody knows what I mean. It just seems cluttered. A lot of the quick buttons that you could use in a map in a PC version now have to be included on a controller made to work that way. I don't know. It just didn't look very good to me. And even the gameplay, I don't know. It wasn't very attractive. If I even consider the game, I'll wait for the PS4 version. Definitely. Cool. Well, that's enough on that one, I guess. We can move on. Our quickest of the quick five.
Yeah.
Next one, Assassin's Creed 4. Actually looking okay. Surprise,
Well,
surprise.
the footage I've seen of it running on PS4 was pretty impressive.
Oh, other than the E3 demo that wasn't ready. But again, that wasn't the PS4. Everyone said there's a reason you hadn't seen this game in motion until E3. I mean, it just wasn't running very well.
Right.
But, more of the footage. It's looking to be the Assassin's Creed game that I've been clamoring for 5 games now. This is the 6th game. But unfortunately, it's going to be too late because I'm not buying this game. I refuse to buy it unless it's dropped to $10.
Or even if it gets crazy good scores.
I don't care. I'm done. Because I watched this. It looks good. And I have to, after the stinker of a game that AC3 was, the standout was the boat and ship stuff. Yeah. But there was so much to build on, and that's what they're doing.
Right.
But I watched the gameplay thing today, and it was on refining the stealth mechanics. He's like, now we're really focusing on stealth mechanics to make it a viable option. I just laughed my face off. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
6 games in.
6 games in, and you're finally making a game that's about an assassin have viable stealth mechanics. I was like, please kill me now.
I can't believe they would actually say that.
Yes, I laughed. I'm like, really? He has the audacity to say it. This is my problem. They repeat the same mistakes game after game. And
Wow.
it epitomizes to me, Assassin's Creed as a franchise, even more than Call of Duty. Epitomizes everything wrong with gaming right now.
Like the oversaturation of franchises.
Well, it's not alone in that, but the unwillingness to change or fix the things that are obviously wrong and get by on visual and visual presentation and marketing year after year. They get by on an amazing premise because that's what you're buying, the promise of an amazing world.
Yep.
And visually, it's there.
Be a pirate.
But you can't engage in it. Like, it's not as engaging as it should be. And I've always said about Assassin's Creed, the franchise is just unfulfilled promise through and through. I never feel like an assassin.
Yeah. Well, my side of that franchise is that I played Arkham Asylum right before I played any Assassin's Creed games.
That'll be tough.
And I played Assassin's Creed 2 shortly after I finished Arkham Asylum. I gave up after about 12 hours.
And some people say Assassin's Creed 2 is one of the best games of this generation. I think that's hilarious. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I thought Brotherhood was a better game, and even then, it's not even that good.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I went on that too. Going into it, I was like, well, this game has been highly rated. It's so much better than the first one. I gave it like 12 hours, and I got kind of bored because I felt like I was kind of...
The gameplay in it is very limiting. Like, you don't have as many options. Because...
Well, the parkour, I found... I'd be going one way.
It's not very good.
And all of a sudden, I'd be like veering off to another direction.
That's because it doesn't play well. And all these guys listen, oh no, the gameplay's great. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're just not playing the same game as I am. It just doesn't play very well. Yeah. The combat's shoddy. The mission structures are horrible. Like, for the most part, they're they're clunky. Cutscene interaction is always clunky. It just takes over at weird spots. Most assassinations just delve into you fighting 20 dudes. The pathing's weird. The line of sights and stealth line of sights of enemies almost made stealth impossible, other than if you're willing to wait like an hour to make it happen.
Right.
It's just not the way a game should be. But the characters always look cool, and the worlds look cool.
And that's what they sell.
And it has an awesome it has like a year-long marketing thing.
How many girls have I heard going, Ezio, and this kind of thing? I would kind of laugh about that.
But that's cool. I mean,
we do the same thing about female characters sometimes.
Well, I don't. You do.
But I do.
Don't bring me down your rabbit hole.
Don't bring me down.
Anyway, yeah, it's actually surprising me that the game kind of looks good, but I won't be buying it.
Right. And on that note, we're going to take a quick pause.
Quick pause.
Direct intervention is necessary.
And we're back.
Unpause. Anyway, moving on to the last of our quick fire segment is the DuckTales HD remaster. Yeah, I don't know. Mixed reviews. it's tough to remake a game like that. DuckTales isn't really relevant anymore. It is to us.
It is. And
it mattered. I love it. I love the show.
Yeah.
Growing up.
And I mean, I played... I didn't own the original NES cartridge, but I did go through it, I believe, at our old game corner.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I played it. Yeah, I played through
at
it.
Bandito. I'm pretty sure I played it on, like, right at the desk there and cleared it in front of, like, a few people anyway.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've seen 7s. I don't know.
That's not terrible.
I've seen 7s, but it read like a 6.
Oh, all right.
So, whatever. Maybe...
What were the issues then? Because I haven't watched the reviews for it.
I honestly didn't really read.
Yeah. We'll see
like, it was Cliff Notes version.
All right. We'll see what's up when we're done the show.
For sure. We'll check it out. I think I'll wait for it to come down. Because the PS Plus will probably eventually have over like 4 or 5.
Well, it'll go on sale on Boxing Week for Xbox, that kind of thing.
But it's cool they did it. The song is still catchy as hell.
Sure it is.
We'll close the show with it.
And it's fun, like...
Scrooge McDuck!
Yeah, the show is fun.
My money!
And, I don't know. It makes me wonder about the...
hey, if that game can get remade, that gives a chance for almost anything.
Sure enough. Well, look, Castle of Illusion's coming.
Yes, that's right. That looks like the more promising of the remakes out of those two.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I look back, the Castle of Illusion for the Sega Genesis was a phenomenal game. It was so good. It's one of the best platformers of that era that I'd ever played.
I have a boxed copy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's an excellent game.
It is.
Every level was so well designed.
I remember when that game came out, like, people were going on and on and on about it. And I mean...
And it deserved all that praise back then.
It still holds up graphically.
It does. Well, for what it is, yeah. I mean, if you can put yourself in that era and you look at it comparatively, it was one of the best looking games of the Genesis era.
Well, the amount of animation, Mickey's got all these.
Mickey actually, he animated, wasn't choppy at all.
No, he's got standing animations, which was at the time a very new thing.
Yeah, we're going off on our nostalgia tangent, but it's worth it. I mean, anyone that's when Mickey used to matter.
They're trying to bring him back, I think, because people have forgotten about him in the digital era.
They haven't used the license very well.
No.
Disney hasn't been put in the right... Mickey and the Disney characters, for the most part, haven't been given the right vehicle to succeed.
Well, maybe they'll do something with the Star Wars license.
Oh, yeah, but that's another thing. Well, I mean, how much can you whore something out? But anyway,
a lot.
That's a lot. That's outside the realm of the quickfire Grizzled veteran segment.
So
close that. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed that.
From one animation company to something that's very much like playing a cartoon.
Yeah, we'll get to some more recent releases before we get on to our main Last of Us impressions. Yeah. But we want to review and talk about Dragon's Crown, the titillating tale of Dragon's Crown.
And it certainly is titillating.
By Vanillaware. Yeah. Donovan, why don't you...
well, I'll start because you're farther in it than I am, but...
well, I'm not really going to spoil anything. Yeah. You're far enough to give impressions and your
Absolutely.
thoughts.
Now, I've seen the controversy regarding the art style, and I gotta be honest with you, man. If you're going to let an art style like this bother you, then... A, don't even bother. You don't have to play it. But the game is fun. The game is gorgeous. The whole loot thing.
Yeah.
I'm already kind of feeling that.
It follows the line of like a Diablo loot enforced thing. Like it's always improving character, getting better stuff.
Yep.
Dungeon crawling, going like that.
Well, it's basically an action RPG it's like disguised as a side-scrolling beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's the gauntlet for the new generation, and even it's entered like Guardian Heroes realms.
Final Fight, Guardian Heroes, all of that.
Like the high echelon of the side-scrolling beat 'em up. I think it takes like what a sister Japanese company in Platinum did earlier this year with Anarchy Reigns and takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
Like I feel both of them though are just one step from greatness. Dragon Crowns is a lot closer.
Yeah.
But both of them need a little bit more, but Dragon Crowns is still a very, very good game.
I think the thing that Dragon's Crown needs is just a little bit more variety.
Yes.
As far as levels and enemies.
Bigger levels, more enemy variety.
Yeah. I have a funny feeling we're going to see DLC for this game. I don't know.
They actually just released DLC, but it's free.
Is it?
It's narrator voices.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is cool because the narrator is one of the most maligned and annoying things because you'll continue to repeat
every time
your objective.
Yeah, every time you come out of a door that isn't for the objective that you're trying to
That's right.
accomplish, he repeats the same.
I think they're
thing
going to
over
patch that.
and- Yeah.
I do, but
Well, in one regard, if I've been playing for a night and I put the game down,
it tells you what you got to do.
it tells you what you got to
do.
do as soon as you start up again, right? So it's a mixed thing.
But Vanillaware makes this game, and
You've played a lot more Vanillaware games than I have.
I love them.
Yeah.
They're the 2D Platinum games for me.
Sure.
Like, Platinum is like a master of what they do.
Yeah.
Of their art style. Well, Vanillaware is a master of their art style as well.
This is the most realized
Vanillaware games.
Vanillaware game as far as their art style goes.
Yeah.
I mean,
on the biggest stage.
the standing animations for these characters, like the wizard, his cape's flowing, right? And to me, it looks so much cooler because it looks like a cartoon.
Yes.
Than if it was animated digitally as a 3D model.
A more realistic 3D model.
No,
or
say
whatever,
like Gabriel or something like from Castlevania. You know, he made or Batman's cape in Arkham. It looks great, but there's something about this that just gives it that unique quality, right? So,
and they have their own art style, and of course, I don't really want to give the controversy too much.
I don't even think it's worth talking about.
But it's done in the end. It's only helped them. It's sold out in Japan. The game the pre-orders were all really, really high for North America. And I mean, this is a game that Atlas took a chance on. It wasn't even going to be made. You know, Capcom had the option of picking this game up and they passed.
Really?
Yeah. Capcom must be kicking themselves now because they're losing money hand over fist. And Atlas is taking this game, put it out, repackaged it, and it's going to sell probably over 1 million copies when it's all said and done. And that's more than they hope to sell.
Yeah.
But I love their art. I think this game is...
And you pre-ordered it.
Absolutely, because I would have pre-ordered it anyway, but they gave you an art book with it.
I didn't get the art.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as the controversy, I don't have any problem with people that are offended by it. If you choose to let that bother you, then that's your prerogative. Don't support it, whatever. But my problem with people is when they took preconceived notions and then reviewed the game. That really bothered me because this game is no mystery. What the art style was and what the hoobaloo about it was there 2 months, 3 months before the game came out.
Hullabaloo?
Yeah, whatever. You like that word?
That was-
Hullabaloo.
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 Yeah.
Hullabaloo.
There's actually a
Hubbub.
Muse album called Hullabaloo.
Good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Random music fact.
I'll by name. I thought Polygon's review is terrible, and I love Polygon's site. I think it's designed gorgeous. I think they take a really well-informed view of games journalism on the whole, and take some other stories covering arcades in random places and just different stories outside the norm of what you generally get from other game sites, mainstream ones. I like it, but their reviews they're quickly becoming a very overly sensitive reviewed site.
Okay.
From what I've seen, I mean, and some of their reviews are just flat out bad. Their Last of Us review was not very good. Philip Kohler, who I actually think is a decent reviewer, reviewed it, gave it a 7.5, and I thought it's not the score that bothers me. It's some of the stuff that he was talking about is flat out wrong. And this, can I talk a bit about reviews right now?
Okay.
I mean, I don't. My problem with reviews lately is this. Everything is subjective, yes. Opinion is opinion, whatever. But not, you can't, I find using subjectivity as your only defense extremely lazy.
Yeah.
Because it comes a point where it's just not enough. And to be honest, subjectivity can be wrong. It actually, a lot of times people are wrong when they say it for various reasons. I'll give you someone can't come up to me and tell me that LeBron James sucks. And that makes it so because he thinks it. Because objectively, he does not suck in the NBA. He's a 3-time MVP.
Yeah.
I don't like LeBron James, but I still have to tell you that he's the best basketball player in the world right now.
Right.
That's objectively. That is a fact.
Right.
So subjectively, you can't tell me he sucks, and your only defense is, that's my opinion.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. Translate that to games. You can't have a shitty stance on a game and tell me that your only defense is an opinion, and when it's just wrong.
Yeah.
Like, some things are wrong, some things, yes, subjectivity can fall under.
And I think basically your point is, regardless of whether or not this guy...
it doesn't actually...
Regardless of what his opinion of the game was...
There's a woman that reviewed it.
She still has to review the game Objectively.
Yes and no. I mean, opinion plays a huge part in. It's all about how a game makes you feel, and you can't put yourself aside from that. But sometimes there's mechanics that you have to try and look at as objective as possible. You're never going to gain full objectivity in a review. You cannot separate yourself from a review. That's impossible.
No, but what I mean by that is that like when a game is good, a game is good.
Yes, and I honestly think I don't care. A game can play well, and there will be people that tell you that they think it plays like shit, but they're wrong.
Because like, they're not playing it good.
No, but because there comes a point in something that a well-rounded gamer would objectively think, and they played enough games to say that game plays well. I don't care. It doesn't matter what another person says, because basically they're using subjectivity as their defense when their opinion solely relies on they just don't like it. Yeah. It's not because it doesn't play well. It's just they don't like it. You know what I mean? And they use that as a blanket statement.
Absolutely.
But anyway, and this doesn't really apply to the Dragon's Crown review on Polygon. It more applied to the Last of Us review on Polygon. But anyway, I just wanted to get that. I think subjectivity, I find this to be the major defense a lot of reviewers are taking lately. When someone questions what they say, hey, it's my opinion. That's all it is. Well, you know what? You're charged as professionals in the industry. Well, yeah, and you have a responsibility to go beyond what your opinion is.
And when your site's as big as Polygon or IGN or something like that, you've got that many people coming to your site, you kind of have to respect that audience as well.
Yeah, like even if it is your opinion and that's your stance, don't use that as your defense when someone questions you with valid points. Yeah. I mean, if someone says to you, I don't know how you can find this to play well when this, and this, and your only opinion is like, well, I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, you can play it and decide for yourself. That's not good enough. That's not good enough when you're getting paid to do a review.
Well, especially if you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, like I honestly, not to toot my own horn, but I try to be as objective as humanly possible. It's impossible to be completely objective, like I said. Yeah. But I try to put, and even in my list, when I tried to rate the top 25 PS3 games, I put games in there that I personally did not think should be there. But objectively, it's the best shooter, even though I don't play that many shooters. Yeah. Shooters are recognized as some of the top games this generation. One has to be there.
Well,
there we go.
And I mean, like, when you're a Grizzled veteran, you're good at everything.
Yeah, well, whatever. I'm definitely not good at everything. I'm good at a lot of things, but I mean, well,
hey, we also come from being gaming gods, so
there we go. Yeah, original. But subjectivity is just a symptom of lazy right now. Using that as your defense, and that's all I want to say on that. But anyway, back to Dragon's Crown. I love their art style is their own. I'll just put it as that, and it is gorgeous. It has its own style across the board. Every character model is well realized.
It's certainly fun.
Yeah, and it's a fun game. Yep. Lots of attacks, a lot of things to upgrade.
Yep. My only thing about it, and this has come up in some of the reviews, is that sometimes things get so chaotic that you lose track of the character.
And I don't know, like, it's available on the Vita, but I don't know how anyone could play it on the Vita.
On a small screen like that.
I don't get it. Like, I'm fine on the PS3, but
doing the background searching and stuff like that, like, in the game you've got, you can use your right stick to bring up a pointer, and you can find stuff that's hidden in the background. Yeah. You can use your runes. I think that would be actually easier to do with the Vita touch screen.
Yeah, it would, because you could on the fly. I find that hard when enemies are there and the runes are there, and I'm trying to cycle and select them. Agreed. On the touchscreen, that's more ideal.
Right. But other than that,
like, I think the game, I would give it a quick review. I'm going to give it an 8.
I'll go with an 8.
I'm bordering on an 8.5, but I do think I finished the game. There is a lot of depth there, but I think the enemy variety on through the levels is lacking. I think some of the levels are smaller than I like. Now, I will add that there is a lengthy labyrinth at the ones that you unlock when you finish the game, which adds a lot, and the online play comes into it.
Once you get into Inferno difficulty,
yes.
You go into what they call a chaos thing, and it randomly generates.
Yes, the chaos labyrinth. That's right. Yeah.
So you can do that even after you're beating normal?
There's something after normal that comes out, because it automatically puts you on hard, and it adds some things to the temple. Right. You can get more blessings and whatever. Basically, you begin the game again, but there's more to it.
Right.
and better loot, and then starts the whole process over again. But I think there's a lot of building blocks there, and they can make something really special. I think Dragon's Crown 2 is hopefully being designed now.
I wonder if we're going to see any either DLC characters or DLC levels.
I could see a DLC character.
Yeah.
I don't know about levels, but hopefully, I mean, I'm up for both. I'll definitely support it.
I just said that came through my head a couple days ago, and I'm like, this game is definitely primed to have DLC because it could use a little more variety.
I mean, I'm fine with the characters that are there.
Yeah, but what I mean is, as far as like enemies,
and level, yeah. But in terms of the bosses are awesome. Like they're so well designed, and there's a great variety, and they all have strategies to them. As the game gets more difficult, like normal is extremely easy.
Yeah.
The game doesn't actually begin until you finish it.
Exactly, and I've heard that already too.
You're gonna have to start teaming up and using a lot of teamwork and stuff on the harder difficulties. You really are.
Now, it is true that there's no cross chat in this game, right?
No, there's no chat.
I find that a little disappointing.
Yeah, I could see why you and some people it may be, but personally, I could care less. But
I mean, this seems like a perfect way to be able to coordinate attacks, and
I don't really think you need to coordinate anything.
It could get cluttered. Mad things are happening so fast.
Yeah, but because of that, I understand. Listen. If the feature was there, awesome.
Like there's a door in one room that I got to that wouldn't open. It would like slide up and down, but I couldn't get it open. I was like, I could use a hint right now.
Oh yeah,
open that or whatever, right?
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Little things, but yeah. I mean, overall, I think it's a great game.
I highly recommend it to anyone and everyone.
Well, and like I said earlier, because it's kind of like an action RPG disguised as a 2D brawler, you might find more than you thought you would if you were just
definitely. Like you pick that game up, it's easy to play, but there is a lot of depth in the attacks. It's a hell of a lot of fun to just go and beat the crap out of a bunch of stuff and get better loot and better weapons, and that's fun. There's something addicting about that. I mean, hell, Diablo sold 12 million copies on a game.
I must have played 3 hours last night of Dragon's Crown.
There you go. So. I mean, me too. I looked at my counter. I played 15 hours of the game, and I couldn't believe it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, what?
Because I must be up to about 6 or 7 hours.
And I think the side quest aspect is really cool. They hide different hidden...
Do those side quests carry over into difficulties?
Yes, they do.
Oh, excellent.
And some of them you can't unlock until the harder difficulties anyway.
Well, because I got one quest where it wants me to go get some fungus or something, and I haven't found any of those guys yet.
That's in the Wallace's
Underground Labyrinth?
Yeah, but you gotta hit the mushrooms in the background.
Oh, I see.
And these white things, but you'll have to go through it a couple times to do it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
Pro tip.
Dragon's Crown's great. Like Tales of Xillia came out. Exilia. Are you gonna pick that up?
No.
I've watched. It doesn't impress me. I'm gonna wait for the Tales of Symphonia HD remake.
Once I watched a review of it, I was like, whoa.
And I watched some streams of it. I don't like how it plays.
Yeah.
And some of the characters.
I didn't realize it was actually a couple years old. And it showed.
They're making a sequel right now.
Okay.
To it.
Because it's actually from 2011.
I didn't know that.
And when you do watch it in action, you can tell it's from a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, it's a JRPG. I mean, at the end of the day, you're more there for your character growth and the story and all that kind of stuff, right? And I do like the aspect where it allows you to choose one of two main characters, and that you play through the game twice.
So and there's a lot of game there, I guess. But of those two releases that came out last week, it was last week for Dragon's Crown. Yeah, I would pick up Dragon's Crown. I think it's a better game.
Yeah, I think we've heard. Well, you told me anyway. There's a remake of one of the earlier Tales
of Symphonia. It was a GameCube exclusive,
right?
And a lot of people hold that as one of the best games in the series. It's been like the Tales series has been going on a long time. It's been a lot of games.
Yeah.
I only played. I can't remember what the originals on like the PlayStation 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I played then.
Oh wow.
Is that where it started?
I didn't realize it went back that far.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's my first. I can't remember the names of them then, but the combat system. I loved it in the 2D aspect. Like you'd have to use like Street Fighter moves on the console to do certain things. You could combo attacks.
That's cool.
It was a lot of fun.
See, because I'll admit that I'm not the biggest fan of the battle system style that they use in Xillia, where it's almost like a real-time action game. I just find sometimes in those types of battle systems and RPGs that things just like it reminds me of Grandia. and which wasn't a bad game by any means. But I just Star Ocean was another one. I have a harder time getting into these types of RPGs.
As long as it's done well, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Star Ocean has always had shoddy combat. Always.
I tried that game twice because I was like, I should like this game.
Yes.
There's things in this game I know that if I can give it the patience.
The most recent Star Ocean International was fine, and then all of a sudden the difficulty spikes through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Now I know there's ways you can break the game, but I certainly couldn't find them, and I thought my AI companions were idiots.
Oh.
They constantly die in boss battles. But anyway, I digress right now. I guess we're gonna move on to the meat of our thing.
Should we get into a swearing montage of Ellie?
Yeah, really.
Jesus Christ! There's a YouTube video
of her swearing?
Of all her swears.
But we're going to move on to what a lot of people have heralded as the Swan Song exclusive for this generation on the whole.
Yep.
I don't think that's
not a far cry.
I don't think it is either. It's sort of the send-off of the generation.
Yep.
In The Last of Us. And it seems like forever that The Last of Us came out.
Well, it's been a month.
Yeah, I guess early July, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of July, so it's been a little bit over a month, but it seems longer than that for me. I
think I beat it 3 weeks ago, actually, so it's been about a month and a half or so since it came out.
Yeah. I did my review for NGN, and The Last of Us is the most difficult game I've ever had to review thus far, by a vast amount. And the reason for that, well, there's a lot of reasons for that. But the main one is because it dares to and achieves more than almost any other game has ever done before in many areas.
Right.
But is that enough to base an entire review on? Because there's so many other aspects of a game there is.
Right.
Just because something does something so much better than any other thing before it, is that the only thing you go by? I don't know.
Well, the game's got so many good things that go.
It does. I mean, there's nothing bad.
You don't
really
have
about
to
the game.
rely on that one thing.
I don't know, Donovan. You go. I think The Last of Us is. I mean, we're going to go into a lot more detail here, but I mean, I'm just trying to give the overarching broad stroke thing of it. I think The Last of Us is a masterpiece. I think it's going to set the standard for character development for years and years to come.
I think we even brushed on this earlier, but yeah, I think it's that game that is going to have a ripple effect for some time to come, where we look back and say, oh, remember when Last of Us did this, and now we're seeing it. Yes.
It really takes what The Last of Us did and takes it to the next level. Like, they'll use it in that respect,
right?
Years and years down the road.
I mean, I guess I'll just roll into it.
Yeah, roll into it.
The combat's very well tuned. I mean, it's different than, some people may go in and say, okay, this is Naughty Dog. I might have some kind of idea what to expect having played the Uncharted games. There are some slight similarities between the games, but they're very few. It's more in aesthetics in a lot of ways. But yeah, this is definitely Naughty Dog's best game, I would say, to date.
I mean, Uncharted 2 is. I know you're not.
I'm not
you're
saying
not
that
as
these
fun.
games are. It's not like.
No, I know, and that's not a bad thing to say. Like,
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
I'm just saying this game really, like, they nailed it with this game.
Absolutely.
The narrative is probably one of the best narratives as far as the way they tell it. I mean, it's almost constant.
Yep.
They did a bit of this in BioShock Infinite as well, but I think that was done better in The Last of Us because it seemed more real, like real time.
Mm-hmm. No, I know what you're saying. The Last of Us isn't afraid to let the world speak for itself. The world takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the exploration tells a story. It is not a game to zip through. It's to savor and live in.
Well, yeah, because you get these quiet moments.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of like, well, I don't know what's gonna happen next, right? Like you start looking in every corner like you would in any other game of this type. But as you're doing that stuff, things are going on around you. Ellie is maybe interacting with something, and then a story spirals out of that, and you get character development there. It's like the record store, the toy store.
Yeah, let's touch on.
I don't want to say too much with it.
Yeah, but let's touch on the characters. Like, since that's what The Last of Us has done so well.
Yeah,
are arguably better than any game before and anything else in the game. Joel and Ellie, but even the lesser characters are so well voiced, and they aren't. It's enough. It's like the way they wrote them. You don't have to fit their entire story in the narrative. You can fill in the blanks, and that's sufficient. They've done their job
like
in that.
The little notes that you find, things like that. Those help to fill in the blanks, and like Bill. Yep. Is a good example of that, where you find the letter from his partner and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that's the thing. That's a perfect example, actually. Bill is gay. But they don't just smack you in the face, and it's something you actually sort of have to look for.
Minor spoilers, kids.
But it doesn't matter. But you know what I mean? That tells a lot about his character and some of the things he says.
Yep.
It's just... I don't know, man. Like,
that game surprised me within the opening.
Well, the opening is that's the thing, and it conveys an emotion. There's an emotion that interweaves its way through the narrative. That it's like it takes you up and down, and it's not always. It's also coupled with a feeling.
Yeah,
I think it captures a tension and an anxiety, and it almost puts you in that world of. Because the game is very uncompromising in its vision and its narrative, and a lot of different things. There's no happy ending to these characters all the time.
A perfect example of what you're referring to is the test story arc.
Yeah. Don't spoil it.
No, but I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're at the point where we can give some spoilers.
Well, I don't want to.
I don't want to either.
I don't want to. It is an exclusive, so...
And it's a special game.
It is. I mean, we could do a special episode for it if down the road. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But Joel is a very complicated character. You can't call him an anti-hero. You can't call him a hero. Yeah. You can't call him evil. He's just a product of the world.
Yeah.
And that is such...
That's the primary theme, is survival.
It is. And it is. And they, like I said, they're uncompromising.
They use it for everybody. I mean,
these people are a product of the world around them.
Yeah. Well, even the fact that Ellie swears as much as she does is a product of that.
Yeah, and I have no problem. She's grown up in a world that was survival at all costs. She's seen terrible shit.
Yeah.
Terrible stuff.
Oh, it never bothered me. Nope. I just was like, whoa, okay.
But Joel is so well acted. Ellie too, of course.
Yeah.
But he's a standout to me because even by the end of it, I mean, you go through highs and lows with this character, and you think you have him figured out, and you really don't.
And that's the thing, because through the whole game, I'm psychoanalyzing Joel, and I'm like, okay, you have blocked the memory out of your head so that you can continue, and I'm being vague on purpose here. And so...
Well, I mean, the opening... I think most people know what happens in the opening. Whether you choose to go into it or not is up to you, but I don't think that's too much spoilers. But there's subtle gameplay nuances to it too. Like, Joel will just be sitting there sometimes, and he'll look at that watch that Sarah gave him, the one that doesn't work, and like he's thinking, he'll just look at it when the controller's idle. That these are subtle touches that are phenomenal.
I didn't notice that.
You got to go back and you'll notice.
I'm definitely playing this game again. Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's just so many things, and
I didn't even hear hardly any of Ellie's jokes.
Yeah, there's tons.
I was like, I tried to look at everything. I tried to see, like in the toy store.
Yeah,
there's a thing that happens.
Yes,
where, I mean, she grabs something.
She grabs something after.
But if you keep the camera on her,
you'll see her.
She doesn't get it. No, she'll just stand there and not do it.
No, you can catch her in the act, though.
Can you?
Yes,
you have to turn your back real quick.
That's
right.
Right?
Yeah. So,
but
and then what happens after that blew my mind too. There were so many parts of that story that I was just like.
Now, in terms of one of the gripes a lot of people have talked about is the gameplay. Some people think the gameplay is not very good. I've heard that in reviews.
I would have to argue that.
And here's where this also feeds into what I was talking about, subjectivity. Well, I'm just going to use it and be its own game.
Yeah.
There's a reason for everything in this game. The gameplay, the way the game plays has a reason. Joel's shooting mechanics aren't awesome because he is not a super soldier.
Right.
It underlines the survival mechanic and the focus on anxiety and tension. And he's not a super. He's just a regular guy.
Those controls are designed to make you feel the same way he does.
He's a product of his environment. And honestly, it's like if you and I were in a fucked up situation like he was in, and clickers and runners are coming at us, we're not going to be able to shoot straight either.
Yeah. What was he, a construction guy or something?
Yeah, he looked like a contractor.
He's big and built.
Yeah, but he's muscular. But he's not an expert marksman.
Yeah.
He's just a burly guy.
Ellie is though.
Yeah, but I mean, his shooting, all his survivor skills are self-taught.
Yeah.
For the most part. That's it. Like, the way he moves. I've heard complaints on the stealth mechanics. I don't get them. Because I think the stealth works extremely well. My only... I had a couple gripes in my review, which were extremely minor, but I still want to say, I'm like...
Well, like when your AI partner can walk right in front of a guy?
See, but that, to me, that didn't bother me because I understand how games are made, and... escort games and quests are the worst in games. They always generally are. So they have to make a gameplay decision to make her have her own pathing and do her own. And in order for that to do this, sometimes she's going to get in the way, and enemies are going to see her because she's going to readjust and stuff.
Now, I thought when they saw her that they were going to react and spoil my cover, but that didn't happen.
No, because the game would probably it would make a less fun game.
Yeah.
If that happened.
Exactly.
So... in that, I guess it kind of breaks immersion a little bit because you realize it's a game.
Yeah.
But there's intentional.
But let's talk about immersion.
Okay.
Because this game is all about immersion.
Well, there's little to no UI, user interface on the screen.
And then one of the other things I brought up with you earlier, there are no trophies that pop up except maybe one,
and that's
maybe two.
That's a conscious design decision as well.
And I think that's fantastic.
The way to design the trophy.
Because when you're in a game like this, and there are not many games like this that suck you in this deep, you don't want to have that distraction of a trophy that's going to pull you out of that experience.
Well, for some, it could make or break sometimes.
Yeah.
And but I respect what they did wholeheartedly.
Yeah, me too, and that's what I mean by that. I completely respect the fact that they went that direction with the trophies, and maybe there's not as many trophies in that game because of that.
Which is fine, but this all goes into what I was saying. Everything in that game, there's a reason for doing it.
Yeah.
The way it plays, the way the UI is, the way the crafting system is, the way the trophies don't pop. Everything has a reason, even to the very subtle. And it sometimes, to the detriment of the game, it relies on the subtle to paint a picture or reinforce the story, if that makes sense, without trying to spoil things. The game relies on you being immersed in the world and wanting to search and find and create a story within a story almost.
Yeah.
And some gamers just don't want to do that. So I can understand where some gripes might be for some people. For me, that isn't a problem.
Because it's not combat constantly.
No.
And so if you're going into this thinking you're going to get a similar experience.
Now, here's a question. Did you ever come to any combat scenarios you knew they were coming and cringe because you thought they were going to get in the way of the wonderful story that this game is trying to tell you?
I don't know if I got any. I can't think offhand if I did. Okay, I knew that when I got to the power plant, there was going to be a battle.
Of course. But I mean, sometimes you walk up to an area, you see all these cover aspects, and you know a battle's coming.
Okay, fair enough. There were definitely a couple areas like that, but I don't think it really took away from any of my story enjoyment.
Yeah, because then you bought into the gameplay. The gameplay wasn't a problem.
I was playing a game.
Yeah.
You know, I never stopped knowing. I'm a veteran, man. I know I'm playing a game.
Yeah, like I've tried to put myself in some of the shoes of people that say, again, this comes up with the subjectivity argument. Some people, I've literally heard people say and read people say the gameplay's terribly, and I just objectively I don't see it. Yeah. I think they're missing the point, or they didn't play it long enough, or they're not comparing it to the right they're not seeing the survival aspect, the reason behind the tension. They're not seeing the design choices that were made.
Yeah. They're looking
in the world. They're looking
as a technical.
They're looking for it to control, like, I don't know. Yeah,
like the aiming mechanics.
A third-person Call of Duty, and that's not what this is. It's not that game.
It's not even Resident Evil in that sense.
If Joel was an expert marksman and could do awesome combat at the touch of a button, and I think he does. I mean, a lot of contextual things make the gameplay, and they're always different animations.
The melee attacks in this game are.
But it would take away. You're not supposed to feel, and this comes into I'm very proud in my review. I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I think through the adversity I had in doing this review, some of my best writing came out. And I'm very, out of everything in that review, my final paragraph, my closing comment on it, I think is what summarizes it for me. And the point is this: I never actually really felt good playing The Last of Us, but I don't mean because I hated it. It's just the game is designed to make you not feel comfortable. There's a sense of tension
and
there.
I'll agree with you completely. It's not a feel-good game.
No, it's stressful sometimes.
But you want to keep playing it.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And I completely say that. Despite all this...
Well, imagine me. I went to bed after I finished the fall mission. So I had to go through my whole day at work going, what the hell happened to Joel?
Oh my god, yeah.
Holy fuck, what happened?
But there's just some things, and I just... That is the point of this game and everything behind it. And my final closing, the title was Uncompromising to a Fault.
Yeah.
For some, and it will be, because their inability to see that vision and understand that design choice can be a barrier.
Yeah.
To enjoyment of this game. And I think that's where the complaints from gameplay come from, or some of the choices in the story or whatever.
Yeah.
Because this game is uncompromising in its vision and
really,
everything.
like, they should be applauded for these.
I completely agree.
And you know, in that sense, people are missing the point.
And again, it's so hard to review and critique this game based on current game standards, because it does so much more than current games do in a narrative and character aspect.
Yeah, because, well, like, from a gameplay perspective, it doesn't really do a lot of new stuff.
No.
It's all in the way that the story's told, the way the world's constructed.
But visually, like, if we're bringing it to a game-by-game basis, visually it blows almost anything out there away.
I would definitely say it's definitely the best-looking game Naughty Dog has made. I still kind of feel like Final Fantasy 13 is the best-looking game that I have.
It doesn't do as much as these games do, but it's also in a broader sense.
Yeah.
But it definitely doesn't. I mean, from character models to lighting, Last of Us does a much better graphical job.
It's got a completely different.
But your feeling is different.
Absolutely.
But I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, Naughty Dog makes some of the best-looking games this generation easily.
You know what it is? It's the difference between American graphics and Japanese graphics in a lot of ways. I mean, let's face it, American-made games have a certain grittiness to them that not as many Japanese games adopt. I find Japanese games to be a little bit more like...
The games themselves are different. It's not just the graphics.
Thematically, there's plenty of gritty Japanese games, but even look, that new Killer is Dead game that's coming out. The art style in that...
It looks great.
I think it looks fantastic.
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, Platinum has its own style.
Yeah.
Super flashy anime, over-the-top look. But anyway, I mean, even graphically, but the way the graphics reinforce the feel of... Like, it doesn't feel good to be in these places sometimes.
Oh, no.
And also the worlds, like, they're expansive, but empty. But they're meant to be empty because and that gives you the feeling you're like, Jesus, I'm lost in this place. And it gives you that sense that Joel and Ellie have of you're alone and you're fighting for your survival and there's nothing around. There's nobody there. Mm-hmm. The environment and the world has taken over everything.
You can't rely on anybody but the two of you.
I just, like I said, it's a masterpiece game. It's very difficult to pigeonhole and compare to other games. I ultimately gave it a 9 out of 10. And I don't. There was some aspects that I don't think that held it back from. I don't feel I have to defend myself for not giving game a 10. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of 10s out there. If you were interested, please check out my review. Links are on my blog. I'm not going to go through blow by blow. Donovan, what's your thoughts on it?
I absolutely give it a 9 as well.
And the thing is, this is a different 9 than I give other games.
Yeah.
I give this 9.
Like, even the ending. Like, again, I don't want to spoil it.
No, I wanted to talk about that after you give your thoughts on it.
But yeah, I mean, I beat the game in about 5 days.
Yeah.
I kind of had to power through it, but at the same time, I didn't rush through it.
Yeah. And it's a long game. There was a lot of game there.
Yeah. I think I clocked
15 hours.
I think I
16.
clocked in at like 18 hours.
Yeah, there you go. 15 to 18.
Adam Burton, he clocked in at like 23 hours.
I was like
something.
17.
Yeah. So he really took his time.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yep.
The game there's a lot to see.
I definitely there was a couple of times. There's one battle moment that I distinctly remember where I just felt really cool. You know, there was a room where you had a bunch of runners and a clicker, and the clicker was running around in a circle, and I was able to hide in a corner without entering the room, toss in one of the nail bombs, have that hit and kill one of the guys and distract a few others, and then I tossed a Molotov in there and finished them all off.
Yeah.
It was just very satisfying. So when you got things like that happening, yeah, I mean, I only had a couple of combat scenarios that I felt were a little frustrating.
And here's the thing, the most difficult encounters in the game are all front loaded. They're at the beginning of the game. The first room you find a clicker in.
I had one area where it was during the David section with Ellie, and she gets separated.
Yes.
And there's a whole bunch of clickers. Yeah.
You're kind of spoiling it. You're getting a little close.
A little close, but no, there was no story there.
Okay.
Anyway, I had a hard time in that room, and it took me a few tries, and I was getting pretty frustrated actually because I kept getting like I got.
But I've heard a lot of people think it's a difficult game. I assure them, like, as the game gets going, you handle in the crafting system and the stealth mechanics. It's just, you're thrown into the fire almost immediately. And again, I think that was the design choice.
And it's one-hit kills.
Yes.
I mean, when you get bit, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's it. Game over.
That's right.
So.
But again, like I said, I think it really was a design choice to make the game difficult from the onset.
Yeah.
To give you that dangerous feeling.
Yeah.
Because if this is supposed to be... What's the one essence of... There's a lot of reasons why survival horror is dying in many ways, or has disappeared from games like Resident Evil. The threat of death isn't there.
Yeah.
Inherently, survival horror games have to be somewhat difficult.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be the threat of death around the corner.
Absolutely. And that's a trend that's in all games now.
Yeah, it's disappearing.
Yeah. But you're right. This was the best survival horror game that I've played in a long time.
Yeah.
Probably since Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. So you give it a 9 as well. And I mean, about the finale, here's the thing. I can honestly say I didn't really like it. But that doesn't mean it's a bad ending.
No.
There's a difference. I didn't like it, and I think there was better ways to do it.
It made me feel a little weird.
It definitely did. In a lot of ways, it kind of made me sick, and I outlined that in my review.
I probably felt exactly the same way as you did. I was kind of like, really?
But does that define a success? It could. And again, it reinforces the game. It reinforces the point. You never actually really feel good about playing this game. But you know what? Maybe that's the point.
No.
I don't know. And I mean, I guess I don't have anything else to say. Please check out my review and give me your thoughts. I'll include a link here. But definitely play The Last of Us. I don't think there's too many other games. I think there's too many games that do this.
If you have a PlayStation 3, you have to play this game, and if you don't, bore your
I think it's a must-play game of the generation. It's definitely one of them. Anyone from any console should play this game. That's about it for this elongated episode 19 of Grizzled Veterans. I think we're kind of caught up.
I think we did a good job, man. We powered through it.
We did power through it.
And we managed to have a good discussion about Last of Us at the same time.
Yeah, it was good. I think we've made pretty good time. We're at about an hour and 20 minutes. I thought we'd be longer.
I thought we were going to be longer too, so I'm actually
I'm
glad.
sure there's some things we missed and we will think about afterwards, and we'll be like, geez, we should have covered this. But
I think we did a pretty damn good job, actually. So
good. Well, I think we did a pretty damn good job too, Donovan. High five. Quick notes, Final Fantasy 14 Remastered World Realm Reborn came out today. If you're into a really cool MMO, I played Final Fantasy 11 for 6 years of my life, this.
You so want to buy this game.
I do want to buy it, but I can't fall down that MMO trap again, man.
And I can't do that either.
For 6 years, I'm too competitive. I made a lot of money in that game, but it just eats your soul, brother. It'll take you down to the pit, that abyss.
I can't go to work today.
Oh my god, it happens. It's bad.
I can't go out with my friends tonight.
But I respect what they've done, and they've tried to redeliver on the promise and the abysmal showing of the game.
It looks like they've made good on their promises.
I find success. I just can't do an MMO.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
So please, Square, since we're not buying Final Fantasy 14, can you please give us a release date for HD10 2?
Yeah, this year. Like, come on, say something.
Just give us a date.
They keep releasing screens.
Quit releasing like audio dramatizations and crap like that. I just want a release date for crying out loud.
I just want to see Auron. Yeah, such a cool character.
Yeah. All right, guys.
That's it. Follow us on Twitter. Links will be at the bottom.
All that stuff's there, kids. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
We're out.
We'll end it.
All right. Ciao, bees.
Bye-bye.